What's up, man? You good?
So I'm good. How are you
All right,
doing?
young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and
Yeah,
everything?
man.
Starting to act different, huh?
No,
You
not
ain't,
really.
been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you haven't. I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. But you never really got my number, so.
Right.
My
Okay.
number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
It's 515.
You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right, 16.
You're not ready.
16.
Slow down. Let's slow down, Justin.
Okay.
Let's slow down, okay?
One step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when you get 16. You're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
And then when you get 18, you get the house.
Diddy sat silently in the courtroom, but his silence said more than words ever could. His face, once a symbol of swagger and control, was pale, and tight the room was thick with unease every eye turned as.
To Justin Bieber, and a troubling weekend for his fans, at least, who felt like some things he posted point again to him in some crisis. And all the comments on his post, he posted a bunch of very candid selfies.
Not the best angle.
Not even, it was very clear he was not going for vanity here, right? These were just goofy photos he posted, but everyone took it as, wow, what's going on with Justin? And particularly because of one of his captions.
Yeah, so one of the captions said, "Tired of transactional relationships. If I have to do something to be loved, that's not love." So a lot of people in the comments thought this had to do with Haley and his relationship with her. But then there's a lot of people, too, that think this maybe has to do more about Scooter Braun and the fallout of his business relationship and just personal relationship with Scooter. Obviously, he unfollowed Scooter earlier this year. And if you watched our documentary, TMZ Investigates What Happened to Justin Bieber, you'll learn that there was a lot of bad blood between them. So it seems to be kind of about that, too. But
and Charlie, in that documentary, it wasn't just Scooter that he has bad blood with in transactional relationships. It seems like there's a long list of people that could be.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of people he cut out from his life earlier this year. And I think it's very obvious Justin is definitely going through something this year. What exactly that is, it's kind of unclear. But there was other captions that were also just as alarming. One said, "You could point at my flaws, or you could recognize your own little," and then
Bitch.
an expletive.
I'll
Yes.
say it for you. You didn't want to.
Yeah. But by the way, Haley, too, kind of added to some of people's concern because she had posted a series of bikini photos, which not unusual for her, but her caption said, "Lemon drop martinis and therapy all summer long." But then she went back and took out the therapy. So, yeah, kind of.
When Justin opened his mouth, his voice didn't shake. It was low control, but carried the kind of weight that only years of pain can produce. He didn't need theatrics. The truth was dramatic enough. He began to unravel a story that had been kept in the shadows of the industry, wrapped in NDA's backstage whispers and tabloid misdirection. He said what everyone was too afraid to say. He spoke about the early days, about being young and eager to succeed, about being flown out to luxury mansions and exotic destinations under the guise of networking, mentorship, or simply getting the experience. But the experiences weren't what any teenager should have been subjected to. He described rooms filled with celebrities, substances, and expectations that were never spoken out loud, but always understood. He painted a picture that was sickening, a world where fame came at the cost of innocence, where silence was currency, and where the price of speaking up was exile. Then came the words no one expected to hear. Diddy was there. The courtroom gasped. He didn't stutter. He didn't look away. He named the man sitting just feet from him as a participant in events that have haunted him for years. According to Justin, Diddy wasn't just in the background. He was leading it, orchestrating it, setting the tone. Justin said there were nights that started with music and laughs and ended with fear and confusion, nights where he felt more like a product than a person. He told the court about the freak-offs, a phrase that until now was nothing more than online speculation. He confirmed it, said they were real, said they were deeply disturbing, said they weren't just wild celebrity parties, but carefully curated events where power dynamics were exploited, boundaries were erased, and no one was allowed to say no. He remembered being told to play along, that it was all part of the ride, that he should feel lucky to be invited.
Back to Justin Bieber and the videos of him making the rounds with combs. The one from when he was 15 has raised some eyebrows, given what we know now.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. What you want to do? What you want to do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang out with some girls.
A man after my heart. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, let's be clear. This could have all just been a joke. But in 2020, Justin Bieber gave a tearful interview to Apple Music in which he talked about wanting to protect Billie Eilish from the music industry and the things that he had been through. There are other videos of Bieber and Combs that have circulated online.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything?
Yeah.
Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Again, does this video mean anything? It could just be a teenage kid caught in an awkward moment. In 2015, Combs presented Bieber with an American Music Award for Best Collaboration. And there's another video showing a birthday celebration. It shows an exchange on one of Bieber's birthdays. And finally, the fourth video making the rounds was recorded 3 years ago. Let's play that again. Some speculated that Combs was looking to see whether Bieber was wearing a wire when he patted him down. It seemed a little awkward for sure. Around this time last year, Combs and Bieber collaborated on the song Moments for Diddy's The Love album, Off the Grid. This was, of course, before the first allegations made by Cassie Ventura surfaced. Combs settled the suit with her in a day, and then the federal raid happened in March of this year. So far, Justin Bieber, like many people who know Combs, has been silent. There may be a good reason for that. He just became a father for the first time. A source close to Bieber told People he's aware of Diddy's arrest and the allegations, but added, it's not anything that he wants to focus on, though. The insider, likely Bieber's publicist, continued, saying Bieber's been in a happy bubble since baby Jack was born.
And maybe for a while he believed that maybe he told himself it was normal that all young stars go through some form of this, but the nightmares didn't stop, the anxiety didn't fade. And as he grew older, it became harder and harder to justify. He watched other young artists, some of whom had also been in those rooms, struggle with addiction, depression, and breakdowns. He realized this wasn't an isolated experience. This was a system and machine built to protect the powerful at the expense of the powerless. Justin said he stayed silent for years. He was scared of being blacklisted, scared of being sued, scared of being labeled a liar, troublemaker, and opportunist. But most of all, he was scared no one would believe him, and that fear was justified. He said he had confided in people, friends, managers, even therapists, and more than once he was told to let it go, to focus on the music, to be grateful. But there's a limit to how long someone can carry that kind of trauma alone.
Saw some of this, right? I'm not saying maybe the actual freak-offs themselves, maybe there are other participants, but, Combs was very public, and Cassie Ventura, to the extent that she was abused, look, it's like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right? You got Kate Moss was brought into that case. People that are rich and famous celebrities, they have rich and famous celebrity friends, right? That's why Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, we're talking about Taylor Swift. This is a small circle here in Hollywood. So the independent witnesses are very likely going to be other celebrities. So I think we're just starting to scratch the surface when it comes to that.
So the question becomes, why do fans believe that Justin Bieber could have been one of Sean Combs' targets, right? You mentioned it before. Well, as the legal saga against Combs ramped up last year, there was video clips that started to resurface of Combs and Bieber spending some time together. And people noticed that the videos often kind of straddled the line between awkward and inappropriate. And Bieber sometimes seemed really uncomfortable. For example, when Bieber was 15 years old, he uploaded a video to his YouTube channel called 48 Hours with Diddy. And this is where he said he was going to be hanging out with the rapper for a couple of days.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Now, some fans called out Combs for allegedly grooming behavior they say was exhibited in this video, spending time at his home with a young kid who's suddenly been thrown into the world of fame and money, taking him under his wing, offering up opportunities, maybe gifts that he could only dream of.
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, this will be yours. So every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, come get the front shot in this.
Man.
Minute.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Now, look, of course, this could all be for the camera. It could be performative. Bieber could have left right after this. We don't really know, but the video made the rounds. Speculation around Combs grew.
And for Justin, that limit had finally been reached. He said coming forward wasn't about revenge. It was about breaking the cycle. He didn't want to see another young kid walk into the industry and fall into the same trap. He didn't want the next generation of artists to think that being used, violated, and discarded was just part of the price of fame. He wanted accountability. He wanted change. And more than anything, he wanted healing as he spoke. The camera panned to Diddy, the man once known for controlling every room he walked into, now looked trapped in his own skin, his fingers twitched, his lips pressed into a thin line. But he didn't interrupt, he didn't shout, he didn't storm out. Maybe he knew there was no saving the image now, not with Justin telling the truth, unfiltered, raw, and unstoppable Justin. Then talk about the aftermath, the panic attacks, the insomnia, the therapy, the guilt, the way he blamed himself for years, thinking maybe he was naive. Maybe he let it happen, maybe he was complicit just by being there, but therapy helped him see it clearly. He was groomed, he was targeted.
And then another clip surfaced, and this one posted to Combs' YouTube page showing another interaction, this time apparently in a studio.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
It's awkward. I don't know. It could have been a joke for the cameras. Nima, what do you take away from these videos?
Yeah, it's awkward and it's weird. So, look, if it's just by itself, maybe you look past it. But there's been a lot of allegations involving minors, not in the criminal case. That hasn't been charged. That would be a game changer, but in the civil lawsuits. So I'm not saying that those are true, but sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. And you have a lot of these civil claimants alleging that Combs is also sexually abusing men and boys and children. So again, not charged in the criminal case, but given those allegations out there, I think it's something that people are going to pick up on, and rumors and speculation are going to fly.
So according to sources who spoke to TMZ, Bieber was actually friends with Combs' sons, and that many of his past public appearances with Combs have been, quote, performative. So in 2015, Combs presented Bieber with an American Music Award for Best Collaboration and gave him a big hug on stage. And then in 2020, Bieber did an interview with Apple Music. And in it, he expressed how he wishes he could protect other young artists like Billie Eilish from some of what he experienced in the music industry as a teenager. But he didn't really elaborate beyond that. And one of Bieber's most recent interactions with Combs was even more awkward than the prior ones, if that's possible. It reportedly took place in 2021. Nima, I want you to take a look at this with me, okay? So in the video, Bieber, with shaggy hair, under a baseball cap, he greets Diddy. He's got a big smile on his face, but something seems just a little bit off about the whole thing because Combs seems to pat Bieber's chest. There are some who have speculated that he was making sure Bieber wasn't wearing a wire, even though there's no way to actually confirm that. Nima, what do you make of that?
Yeah, awkward and weird. I'm not surprised people think that he was patting him down. Just not something that you typically see. And again,
he was a kid being manipulated by adults who knew exactly what they were doing. He recalled a night when he broke down, completely shaking, crying, unable to breathe. That night changed everything. That night he vowed that if the opportunity ever came, he would speak no matter the consequences, no matter who he had to face. And now, standing just feet from one of the most powerful men in the industry, he was keeping that promise. He didn't stop there. He hinted that more names might be involved. That Diddy wasn't the only one, that there were others, big names, beloved faces, who had attended, enabled, or turned a blind eye, and while he wasn't naming them today, he made it clear that this was only the beginning. The wall of silence was cracking, and the truth was leaking through. Reporters scribbled furiously. The judge looked stunned. Even Diddy's own legal team seemed rattled. This wasn't just a PR scandal anymore. This was real. This was court. This was testimony that hasn't stopped the chatter. This TikTok video from Bieber's father-in-law, actor Stephen Baldwin, has just added to the speculation about Diddy and Bieber.
You have heard the expression, the calm before the storm. There is always a calm before the storm, but then so is there another calm after the storm. There's a calm and then a storm and then another calm.
So you get the gist. And no one knows whether Stephen Baldwin was actually referring to the Sean Combs situation or his son-in-law, Justin Bieber, but that video certainly has had people on X wondering. I want to bring in Mitra Ahorian. She is an entertainment attorney in Los Angeles. So Mitra, what are people saying out there on the street? What's the chatter in Hollywood about Sean Combs' arrest?
I think the chatter is some of what we're already hearing in the news, except that there are actual people who were at these parties who have interacted with him. Puffy was one of the, and is, we can say is, one of the most influential artists and producers in the hip hop world. We all grew up listening to his music. He's been, responsible for bringing a lot of artists, developing a lot of other artists. And so he was so tied into the celebrity world for such a long time that, of course, everyone sort of interacted with him, right? The level of interaction is sort of what's going to vary. So in terms of the chatter that's going around, everyone, I think, is just thinking, oh, wow, like I've spent time with this person or I've worked with this person, and they may not necessarily have known what was going on behind closed doors.
And nothing about it could be dismissed as gossip. Justin ended with a message to other survivors. He said, "You're not crazy, you're not weak, and it wasn't your fault." He urged them to speak if and when they were ready. He said that for every person who came forward, the system lost a little more of its power, and for the first time in years, he said he felt free. The courtroom erupted into quiet murmurs. As he stepped down, not applause, just a stunned, emotional silence. Diddy sat motionless, his empire built on image control. And myth was crumbling by the second. He had faced controversies before, but this was different. This wasn't a lawsuit over money. This was a moral reckoning. This was someone he once mentored, exposing him as a predator on the record in front of the world. And now the public is watching, the fans, the critics, the industry insiders, everyone is paying attention. Questions are flying. How deep does this go? Who else knew? Will other victims speak out? Will justice actually be served? For years, Diddy was seen as untouchable, but now with every word Justin spoke, that illusion was being dismantled brick by brick. This is more than just a celebrity scandal. This is about power abuse and the cost of silence, and while the legal system will decide Diddy's fate, the court of public opinion is already speaking loudly. The truth is out, the stories are real, and the era of silence is over. What happens next could change the entertainment industry forever, because once you pull back the curtain, you can't pretend not to see what's behind it.